Exploring the Integrated Development Environment. Here in this lesson, we're going to explore the new IDE of Visual Studio.NET 2008. First, let's start with the menu. The Visual Studio 2008 menu is dynamic, which means items will be added or removed depending on what you're trying to do. Now then, here's a quick rundown of what activities each menu item pertains to. File. Most software programs have a file menu. It's become the standard where you should find, if nothing else, a way to at least exit the application. In this case, you can always find ways of opening and closing single files and whole projects. Edit. The Edit menu provides access to the common items you would expect: undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, and delete. View. The View menu provides quick access to the windows that exist in the IDE, such as the Solutions Explorer, the Properties window, Output window, Toolbox, and so on. Project. The Project menu allows you to add various files to your application, such as forms and classes. Build. The Build menu becomes important when you have completed your application and you want to run it without the use of the Visual Basic 2008 environment. Debug. The Debug menu allows you to start and stop running your application within the Visual Basic 2008 IDE. Data. The Data menu enables you to use information that comes from a database. It allows you to view and add data sources and preview data. Tools. The Tools menu has commands to configure the Visual Studio 2008 IDE, as well as links to other external tools that may have been installed. Test. The Test menu provides options that allow you to create and view unit tests for your application to exercise the source code in various scenarios. Window. The Window menu has become standard for any application that allows more than one window to be open at a time, such as Word or Excel. The commands on this menu allow you to switch between the windows in the IDE. Help. The Help menu provides access to the Visual Studio 2008 documentation. There are many different ways to access this information. The Help menu also has options that connect to the Microsoft website to obtain updates or report problems. This is the standard toolbar, which is visible by default. You can also add more toolbars by clicking the View menu and choose Toolbars. You'll see a submenu with 28 commands that are toggles. Now, each command corresponds to a toolbar, and you can turn the corresponding toolbar on and off as per your requirements. Windows in the Visual Studio 2008. The following list introduces the most common windows of Visual Basic 2008. Windows Form Design window. The Design window is where a lot of the action takes place. This is where you place all your controls on your forms. This window is sometimes referred to as the Designer. Toolbox. This toolbox contains an icon for each control you can use on your form. The controls are organized into groups according to each control's function on the interface. We'll create simple Windows applications and use the controls on the Common Controls tab. When you develop web applications, you'll see a different set of icons in the toolbox. To place a control on the form, you can double-click the icon of the control. A new instance with a default size will be placed on the form. Then you can position and resize it with your mouse. Or you can select the control from the toolbox with the mouse and then click and drag the mouse over the form and draw the outline of the control. Solution Explorer. The Solution Explorer window contains a hierarchical view of your solution. A solution can contain many projects, whereas a project contains forms, classes, modules, and components that solve a particular problem. Data sources. The Data Sources window allows you to connect to a database and choose the database objects for your application. Properties. This window is located at the far right edge of the IDE and below the Solution Explorer. The Properties window displays the control property of the selected object. You can click the AZ button on the Windows title bar to display all properties in alphabetical order. Output window. The output window is where many of the tools, including the compiler, send their output. Every time you start an application, a series of messages is displayed in the output window. Command and immediate windows. While testing a program, you can interrupt its execution by inserting a so-called breakpoint. When the breakpoint is reached, the program's execution is suspended, and you can execute a statement in the immediate window. Error list window. This window is populated by the compiler with error messages if the code can't be successfully compiled. You can double-click an error message in this window, and the IDE will take you to the line with the statement in error, which then you should fix. Creating a Hello User project. To finish your explanation of the IDE, you need to create a project. In this session, you're going to create a very simple application called Hello User that will allow you to enter a person's name and display a greeting to that person in a message box. Now then, let's get started creating, shall we? Go to Start and click on All Programs, which shows you a software list installed in your system. In the list, move your pointer to the Microsoft Visual Studio 2008, and doing that will open up a splash screen window. In the splash screen window, click on Microsoft Visual Studio 2008. Doing that opens up the Microsoft Development Environment. In the Recent Projects section, click on Create Project. In the New Project dialog box, select Visual Basic in the Project Types Tree View box to the left, and then select Windows beneath it. The Templates box on the right will display all of the available templates for the project type chosen. Select the Windows Forms application template. Finally, type Hello User in the name text box, and then click OK. Your new project dialog box will look such as this. Add a label control to the form. By clicking Label in the toolbox, drag it over to the form's designer and drop it into the desired location. If the label control you have just drawn is not in the desired location, it really isn't a problem. You can resize it or move it around. To move it, click the dotted border and drag it to the desired location. After drawing a control on the form, you should at least configure its name and the text that it will display. You will see that the Properties window to the right of the designer has changed to Label 1, telling you that you are currently examining the properties for the label. In the Properties window, set your New Labels text property to Enter Your Name. Note that once you press Enter or click on another property, the label on the form has automatically resized itself to fit the text in the text property. Now then, set the Name property to LBL Name. Now, directly beneath the label, you want to add a text box. So, select the text box control from the toolbar. After you've dragged and dropped the control into the appropriate position, use the Properties window to set its Name property to TXT Name. In the bottom left corner of the form, add a button control in exactly the same manner as you added the label and text box. Set its Name property to BTN OK, and its text property to ampersand OK. Now then, add a second button control to the bottom right corner of the form by dragging the button control from the toolbar onto your form. Set the Name property to BTN Exit and the text property to Exit. Finally, your form will look like this. Here then we are completed with creating an interface for our sample application. So let's briefly discuss some coding practices that you should be using in our next lesson. Adding code to the Hello User project. The Code Editor window. Now that we've created the interface for our Hello User form, you have to add some code to make it actually do something interesting. You've already seen how easy it is to add controls to a form. To add the code for a control, you just double-click the respective control, and this opens the code editor in the main window like this. Note that an additional tab has been created in the main window. Now you have the Design tab and the Code tab, each containing the name of the form that you are working on. Note also that there are two combo boxes at the top of the window. These provide shortcuts to the various parts of your code. Hover your mouse on the combo box on the left and you'll see a tool tip appear, telling you that it is the class name combo box. Now if you expand this combo box, you'll see a list of all the objects within your application. If you hover your mouse on the combo box on the right, you'll see a tooltip telling you that this is the method name combo box. If you expand this combo box, you'll see a list of all the defined functions and subroutines for the object selected in the class name combo box. To begin adding the necessary code, click the Design tab to show the form again, then double-click the OK button. The code window will open with the following code. This is the shell of the button's click event, and it is the place where you enter the code that you want to run when you click the button. This code is known as an event handler. Now then, paste this code in the procedure. After pasting, go back to the Design tab and double-click the Exit button. Paste this code to the btn exit click event procedure. Now that the code is finished, the moment of truth has arrived, and you can see your creation. But first, however, save your work by pressing Ctrl S. Right then, now click the Start button on the toolbar over here. You'll notice a lot of activity in the output window at the bottom of your screen. When the application loads, you'll see the main form look like this. Enter a name and click OK. A window known as a message box appears by welcoming the person whose name was entered in the text box on the form. After you close the message box by clicking the OK button, click the Exit button on your form. The application closes, and you'll be returned to the Visual Basic 2008 IDE. Now, let's see how it works. The code that you added to the click event for the OK button will take the name that was entered in the text box and use it as part of the message that was displayed. The first line of text you entered in this procedure is actually a comment. The messagebox.show method displays a message box that accepts various parameters. As used in your code, you have passed the string text to be displayed in the message box. This is accomplished through the concatenation of string contents defined by text enclosed in quotes. Concatenation of strings into one long string is performed through the use of the ampersand character. The code that follows concatenates a string of constant of hello, followed by the value contained in the text property of the txt name text box control, followed by a string constant of welcome to Visual Basic 2008. The second parameter being passed to the messagebox.show method is the caption to be used in the title bar of the message box dialog box. On the other side, in the Exit button's click event, me.close. The me word refers to the form itself. The close method of the form closes the form and releases all resources associated with it, thus ending the program.